All right, hey everyone, this is Kevin. I want to make a different video this time, focusing on a different subject. And this is a serious subject, so I really need you guys to go with me. This subject is entitled For Christians Only, concerning the debate, or should I say, concerning the election. Now, I can give people tons of worldly reasons why they should not vote for Hillary Clinton. But let's be real, the world is not made up of just, Christians. It's made up of non-believers. It's made up of all type of people. But I want to give my perspective of this candidacy from a Christian perspective, because we know that Christians should see things from a spiritual eye versus a worldly eye. And there are three types of people, I think, in this campaign that are being influenced. You have your Republicans, you have your Democrats, but then you also have your Christians. And as a Christian, all your decisions should really revolve around your faith, not around your political affiliation. So, with that being said, let's look at some groups. You have blacks, you have Latinos, you have Caucasians, you have all these different groups of people in the United States that are making the decisions of voting based off of all kind of influences, okay? So when you look at the enemy, and this is what you always got to do when you're looking spiritually, you got to say, okay, I see with my natural eye what's going on, but let me see with my spiritual eye. If I'm the devil and I want to pull off a great illusion, a great deception, okay? I attack people in areas that I feel that I can influence them. Remember, the devil has been studying human behavior for over 6,000 years, and he knows what to do to influence them, to hit emotional spots, to mess with them. So let's say a group of black people that aren't Christians, all right? Racism, let's hit them with that. So anything he can do to move them away from voting for one candidate, then he would flood the community with racist opinions about that candidate. Oh, he's a racist. He's a racist. Therefore, for two reasons. One, the group of black people who just take information as face value, they're just going to go, yeah, man, that's bullcrap. He's a racist. But then the group of black people that might be, say, open-minded, and they start going, well, now let's not jump right on the bandwagon. That is countered by the group of black people who get upset and say, man, I can't believe you're going to vote for him. You voting against our people. You must be an Uncle Tom. You must be a sellout and all that. So that's one way to discourage black people from voting. If they're Mexicans or whatever, then of course, they're going to hit them with, or Latinos, he's going to hit them with, hey man, this dude don't like Latinos. He's trying to send everybody out of the country. All right. And once again, if you're a Latin person that says, you know what, let's stop. Let's see what he's really trying to say. Then everybody else is going to say, I cannot believe you're supporting this. You aren't supporting our people. But let's look at the Christians. I have listened, Christians, he tries to hit us with morality. Okay. So it's one of those things. Well, let's listen to what Donald Trump is saying. Well, now, if you're saying that and the media is pubbing nothing but Donald Trump is divisive, Donald Trump is a sexist, Donald Trump is a racist, Donald Trump is crass, but Donald Trump cusses, Donald Trump was a womanizer, and you're going to vote for him? Are you kidding me? Now, that is to shame the Christian who isn't necessarily basing their decisions off of their color, off of their race, but maybe moral, dilemmas. Then that right there would touch their hot spot. Simple trick, right? But let's break it down. Let's look at some core values when it comes to Christianity and look at Donald versus Hillary. Now, a lot of people think that Donald Trump is a bad person when it comes to his moral character, okay? And as a Christian, there are two types of ways of looking at a person. Now, people say, well, judge not lest you be judged. Well, you have some logical sense as a Christian to be able to look at a situation and say, that's not good what I'm seeing. But here's where the dilemma comes in. God looks at the inside of a person, whereas we look at the outside. And of course, as a Christian, you know that throughout life, when you in church, you always looking at somebody who come in with a short skirt on. You always looking at somebody who might slip a cuss word in here and there. We base our judgments off of what we see, whereas God looks at the heart. So let's look at these two. All right, first of all, Donald Trump would represent the character that everyone would look at and say, that guy cusses. That guy appears to be racist. Or look, he talks very crass or whatever. Hillary Clinton, though, would represent that Christian who has the right dress on, carries the big Bible, knows how to talk. Praise God. God bless you, baby. Hey, I'm praying for you now. Watch out now. You know, oh, well, God's in control. But on the inside, it's wicked. So stop looking at the natural when it comes to Donald Trump. Let's start looking at what Hillary's insides look like. What is her true motive? What are the things that touch your core as a Christian? Well, let's start. First of all, when it comes to Hillary Clinton, we have been given insight to see the inner thoughts of Hillary Clinton through these Wikemail emails, regardless of how we got that information. But I think it's a way of us finally having an opportunity to see clearly who we're about to elect. And if you're not careful, the enemy, I believe, will distract us by looking at the outside stuff of Donald Trump and missing the inside stuff of Hillary Clinton. She has been revealed to have one face for people and another from the inside. Let's look at some of the main stuff. First of all, when it comes to her loyalty towards Israel. Now, remember, this is for Christians only. So if you're not a Christian, I advise you to turn this off at this point. All right. Now, her loyalty to Israel. God has been very clear about every country that supports Israel is blessed. Every country that doesn't is cursed. Now, Obama started by, of course, saying that Israel needed to give up their land, return back to their 1948 borders. Right then, that should have been a red flag. You do not give up the land that God has given you. Number two, he and Hillary, which she always brags about, decided to put together a plan, very stupid, to negotiate with Iran that would give them all of this money, of course, and also would drive a wedge between us and Israel. Right now, at this point, Netanyahu isn't even communicating with us because of that deal. Hillary Clinton still supports that deal. Now, what do you think is going to happen if she gets elected and still supports that horrific deal? Do you think the relationship of us and Israel will be repaired, or would it still have a wedge drawn between it? I believe it will have a wedge drawn between it. So that's number one. She does not support Israel. Number two, the devil is very clever when he wants to pull off a major global event. Just like in the spiritual, demons work together. Different type of demons say, look, I'm the demon of lust, I'm the demon of pride, I'm the demon of whatever, and they all get together in cahoots and say, you set it up over here, I set it up over here, we all meet back up. Now, let's look at the way Hillary has connected with all these different entities to pull this off. Recently, we discovered that Hillary has been in cahoots with Russia in the past concerning deals that she put together that would allow the U.S. to sell uranium to Vladimir Putin. And guess who else was implemented in that deal? It was no more than Time Warner. Okay, so Time Warner was helping because they was going to get something out the deal too. Perhaps maybe some type of ability to provide communication over in Russia. I don't know. But nonetheless, they were a part of that deal. That means Hillary Clinton has a relationship with who? One of the largest media outlets that we have. So now you have Time Warner, who controls what people see, hear, and how they perceive things. So do you think that all of those cable networks that are with Time Warner will be promoting Hillary Clinton? Most likely. And they will be fighting against Donald Trump. Now, he who controls the media controls the narrative. They flood everybody with subliminal suggestions to convince them of something and to distract them from some core principles. So now you have people being bombarded with all kinds of subliminals to formulate their opinion. All right, so now, with that being said, Hillary is allowing the media to distract a lot of Christians so that they will focus on stuff that we as Christians look at and say, man, that's immoral. While she can pull off great deception when it comes to implementing her plans. Now, let's look at some of her plans. Number one, when it comes to prophecy, things unfold in such. In the last days, Israel will be forsaken by a lot of its supporting cast because they're going to be forced to defend themselves against the majority of the world. Right now, Vladimir Putin and Syria and Iran are in cahoots. Recently, we just lost an ally with, I believe it's Taiwan. They are partnering up with China and also talking about partnering up with Russia. And you see then how these global alliances are starting to take place. And Hillary Clinton is trying to convince the American population that Russia is behind all of these WikiLeaks leaks and saying that Donald is in cahoots with them. When in reality, Russia's not behind it. And in fact, she's not so anti-Russian after all, considering she used to do business with Russia. But she also is trying her best to use an excuse afterwards to justify going to war with Russia if she has to, because she is bent on getting Assad out of there. So she's going to do whatever she can. So if it all goes down, she can say, America, relax. We have to do this because look at how Russia has been infiltrating America through cyber attacks. Now, if you're looking on the natural, you're going, yeah, they need for us to put our foot in their tail. But the spiritual side, you're going, you are really setting the scene for the last global major war. All right. So that's one thing you have to look at, because she'll try to make Donald Trump look like he's anti-American because he don't hate Russia. And by not hating Russia, you indirectly supporting Russia. And if you aren't careful, you will buy into that and say, yeah, Donald Trump hates Russia. Secondly, when you look at some other issues as it pertains to Christianity, Hillary Clinton is very liberal. She has played a great part in supporting laws that are anti-Christian. She's a big push for gay marriage and to who each is own. But when you start talking about using the term marriage, that's where the problem comes in, because that's a biblical term. Why not just civil union? But she is very adamant in trying to use civil rights as an excuse. All right. So she's pro that. She also is big when it comes to saying, hey, whether you're a kid or a grown up, you should have the ability to use whatever restroom you want, because we're not male or female. We're humans. In this whole transgender movement, she's pushing it, very adamant. She also is setting the scene for later on, after she gets elected and puts a very liberal Supreme Court justice person in place. This will begin the process of persecuting Christians that speak out against immorality in public. They will use the excuse that it is politically incorrect, and if you speak this rhetoric, you now are a bigot, you now are a racist, you now are divisive, and that right there is promoting violence and division, and that will give them, along with the wicked, crooked media, reason to persecute you. So if you're a Christian and you want to be able to get in church and talk about and you can't be out there, you can't do this, and that's a sin, and they come up in church and say, shut this church down. We will no longer allow you to be nonprofit. We will also picket outside, because by you talking about this stuff goes totally against some other religion, totally against people expressing themselves any way they want to and not having their conscience messed with by your church rhetoric. So now, when you look at this, you vote her in. She puts that person, which she already said she's going to do, she puts that person in the Supreme Court justice seat. They will push every liberal agenda, and you will wake up one day and find that you will be censored when it comes to speaking out against immorality. Donald Trump wants to support freedom of speech and also freedom of religion, for us to be able to get in there and preach against whatever. Okay. He's saying that's you. That's your beliefs. That's your religion. Express it. Hillary Clinton, if you look at the emails, there's a hidden agenda to try to infiltrate religion from the inside out so that they will accept immorality, or they will be too afraid to speak out against immorality. So now you look at a big major dilemma. Do you focus on Donald Trump's personality? Do you focus on the fact that, oh, he's not presidential, oh, he's a sexist, oh, he's a racist, and all of that stuff, which I could argue all day long, but I want to keep it spiritual here. Or do you look at Hillary Clinton, where at the end of the day, we'll look at America in the face and say, no, I didn't do that. No, I want everyone to have freedom of speech. We have to come together. And they're pushing for the rainbow of humans to come together and dilute and eliminate religious expression and just say we're all children of one big God. You shouldn't speak out against any other religion. You shouldn't speak out against people's individual choices and so on and so forth. Look at it. Don't just focus on what you're seeing. You got to look at the spiritual underlying push. Let's go to another one. How about this one? I love this. Americans are talking about, man, the government is corrupt. We can't trust the government. They always got something up their sleeve. And Christians also say that the government is corrupt. But here's what I find interesting. When you look at what we have been given the opportunity to see, in the past, we voted based on the best of our knowledge. You might have felt that somebody was corrupt, but you didn't see it. You just simply was like, you know what? I think that they're corrupt, but I don't know. So you make an educated guess and you just hope for the best. But this is different about this election. We got one candidate that you see some carnality in, which Donald Trump is carnal. Then you got another candidate that you see pure evil and wickedness. Now, why is it that the media is not exposing the heart of Hillary Clinton? Now, when I say the heart, what am I saying? I'm saying through these emails, we are given the opportunity to see how she really is. But the media hides that, and they only want you to see the outward appearance of Hillary Clinton. And so now they want you to focus on the outward appearance of Donald and say, judge his outward appearance versus hers. That's how you make your decision, right? But we're now giving the opportunity to see what's on the inside of her. And when you look at this, you're looking at a woman who has conspired with our enemies, sold us out to our enemies, a woman who has lied to the public, a woman who has committed crimes and made networks and used power manipulation to cover up all of her crimes, has given immunity to people who participated in her crimes. Then, not only that, who has been excellent with diverting the attention away from her crimes, convincing a lot of Americans to accept corruption in the government. Remember, Sodom and Gomorrah got judged, not just because of what the people was doing, but when the government legislated sin, when they said, you know what, it is legal for you to grab a person right off the street and rape a man. When they said, let's do that, that means sin was legislated from the top down and the people had accepted it and the government had accepted it, thus judgment came. So when you look at her corrupt government that she's pushing, the corruptness that she has done, that we have had the opportunity to see the insight to, why would you vote for that? That right there blows my mind. Regardless of some of the stuff you might feel Donald has said and how he acts and so on and so forth, you now have no excuse to say, man, the government's corrupt. The government did it. We have been given the opportunity to see the corruption. Now, you can either ignore it or you can accept it. And if you accept it, when it all is revealed, 4 years from now, when you can't get up and preach on the corner, when you can't get up and say the name of Jesus, when you can't get up and say hallelujah, when you can't get up and say that's a sin, when you can't say Christianity is the only way, when you can't do that and you're mad, you can't complain because you knew her agenda by looking at her heart through those WikiLeaks emails and you voted for her. So what I'm telling you is this. Why would you willfully, as a Christian, vote for someone who do not support Israel? Vote for somebody who do not support freedom of religion, mainly Christianity. Donald Trump once asked the question, all of these refugees you trying to bring over here, why aren't you focusing on the Christian refugees who are being killed by them? You want to bring all just the Muslim refugees over. Why not the Christian refugees? No answer for that. See, so what I'm saying is this. Christianity is the religion that will become persecuted because of freedom of speech. All of this big liberal movement is not to target other religions. It is to target Christianity, because we are the last thing on earth standing between the devil being released to wreak havoc on this planet, and that's it. It's us. We are holding it down. And so my thing is, when you legislate this, when you put somebody in office that you know is really anti-Christian, it ain't about being anti-freedom of speech, it's anti-Christian. So when you put somebody in office and then your church can't enjoy celebrating freedom of speech, freedom of religion, you have no one to blame but yourself. We were given the insight to it way before we voted. And so I'm telling you, see, that's nothing but the devil trying to interrupt the message. Anyway, so what I'm telling you is this. Look at this election through the spiritual eye. You cannot look at it through the carnal eye. Donald Trump doesn't want to go to war with nobody. He's saying, look, man, I don't have a relationship with Putin, but I would love to be able to get around with him and talk. Putin has made it very clear. If this lady gets in office, it's going to be a war between us and the United States, because he knows her true agenda. Even if they were behind the WikiLeaks, he's saying, look, I'm trying to give the American people a chance to make a good decision that's going to save them from going to war with us, because we know her true intentions. And America is being victimized by propaganda and by manipulation on a high scale level. This whole push of her campaign is being done by demonic influence. She doesn't even know she's doing it. Neither did Barack Obama when he signed that treaty with Iran, and gave up all that money. And when he went ahead and gave the green light to the Supreme Court to legalize gay marriage. They're thinking they're doing this in the name of progression and liberalism and all of that stuff. But as the church, we should be able to see through all of that and say the stuff that the world looks at and say, man, y'all old fashioned. Man, y'all just don't get it. Stuff ain't like that no more. The church never changes their view on moral versus immoral. And right now, we have been so flooded with this to where the church is getting to the point where they will accept immorality in the name of liberalism. So do not be deceived, people. Don't be fooled by this. Now, Donald Trump, he has his issues. He's carnal. But I believe God can still work with the knucklehead, and he can bring a lot of good to the United States. He is learning trial and error. He's going through the school of hard knocks, and there's a lot of people praying for him as he goes through it. But I know that really Donald is a teddy bear. Deep down inside, he might be insecure and want to fight back real quick when he's attacked. But deep down, I think he's a teddy bear. But Hillary is wicked. And we've had the opportunity to see it. And if you really got your spiritual eyes on, you can see it when she's talking. You can see it when she's in the debate. The fakeness, the fake smile, she is so smooth at diverting your attention away from her corruption and evilness. I was watching an interview that she did right after the debate. They were asking her questions about Donald Trump. And here's what really gets me. The enemy is fooling people and to not relying on their internal instinct, not relying on what their eyes and ears see and hear, because you will look at Donald Trump and get mad at him for saying, I'm not going to accept the verdict of this election. That is a wise choice considering the overwhelming facts that support voter corruption. But let me tell you how the enemy flips it. Because you're not willing to accept, here's the translation, our corrupt behavior, our cheating system, our broken system, you're not American. You are undermining democracy if you support that. Now, that's what really is going on. They want to convince America to accept a verdict that comes from deception, corruption. They're trying to get you to doubt logical sense, where you go, well, if I'm Donald Trump and I'm looking at all the supporting facts that could lead to corruption, why would I make a confession up front that I'm just going to accept the results when it could be fixed? Why? Because they're trying to convince America that once this is over, if she steals this election, Donald Trump won't have a voice because he accepted it early. He said, no, whatever the results are. You can't do that. You got to say, hold up, man. I smell a rat, and I reserve my option to say, that's a rat. I'm not going to just say, yeah, man, that's cool. Even though you paid people to come into my rallies and disrupt things, just like the devil. He starts a fire, then sits back and watches it burn down and asking the fire department, how do you think that happened? That's messed up, ain't it? And that's what Hillary did. She put people in the camp. They went ahead, started the violence, and then she sits back and goes, how do you think that? Look at that. That's ridiculous. Even though she was behind it all. Isn't that just like Diablos? So you have to look at that. Don't let your eyes and ears naturally fool what your spiritual eyes and ears see. Don't do it. You got to always look at the biblical underlining current that's pushing that evil, wicked campaign to get into office. So this is for Christians only. Share it with your friends, because I'm going to tell you right now, the world won't understand what I'm talking about. But if you're a Christian, you're going, Hillary Clinton is anti-Bible. A lot of anti-Bible. I was at a Donald Trump rally the other day, and one thing he kept saying is, we're going to be a nation under God again. And people cheered about that. You don't hear Hillary talk about that. I was at a Mike Pence discussion the other day at church. He came, and everyone was talking about praying. Everyone was talking about our freedom of expression, our freedom of religion. And the big discussion was prayer. Pray about this election, because this right here is the biggest one that I've ever seen in my life concerning the church. It's going down, people. And we got to make some real tough choices. But don't let the enemy confuse the message, the real message, by what he's doing through the media and through, I love when Donald say this, crooked Hillary Clinton. This is Kevin Ellerbe, over and out. Sorry, this one went a little long, but and there's probably some things I missed too, and I might make part 2. Who knows? All right.